Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is Aldworth, the Honorable Mrs. from an Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Aldworth, the Honorable Mrs. This lady received about the year 1735 the first and second degrees of Freemasonry in Lodge number 44 at Doneraile in Ireland. The circumstances connected with this singular initiation were first published in 1807 at Cork and subsequently republished by Spencer, the celebrated Masonic bibliopole in London. It may be observed, before proceeding to glean from this work the narrative of her initiation, that the authenticity of all these circumstances was confirmed on their first publication by eyewitness to the transaction. The Honorable Elizabeth St. Leger was born about the year 1713 and was the youngest child and only daughter of the Right Honorable Arthur St. Leger, 1st Viscount Doneraile of Ireland, who died in 1727 and was succeeded by his eldest son, the brother of our heroine. Subsequently to her initiation into the mysteries of Freemasonry, she married Richard Aldworth, Esquire of Newmarket in the county of Cork. Lodge number 44 in which she was initiated was, in some sorts, an aristocratic lodge consisting principally of the gentry and most respectable and wealthy inhabitants of the country around Doneraile. The communications was usually held in the town, but during the mastership of Lord Doneraile, under whom his sister was initiated, the meetings were often held at his lordship's residence. It was during one of these meetings at Doneraile's house that this female initiation took place, the story of which Spencer, in the memoir to which we have referred, relates in the following words. It happened on this particular occasion that the lodge was held in a room separated from another, as is often the case, by stud and brickwork. The young lady, being giddy and thoughtless, and determined to gratify her curiosity, made her arrangements accordingly, and, with a pair of scissors, as she herself related to the mother of our informant, removed a portion of a brick from the wall, and placed herself so as to command a full view of everything which occurred in the next room. So placed, she witnessed the first 2 degrees in Masonry, which was the extent of the proceedings of the lodge on that night. Becoming aware, from which she heard, that the brethren were about to separate, for the first time she felt tremblingly alive to the awkwardness and danger of her situation, and began to consider how she could retire without observation. She became nervous and agitated and nearly fainted, but so far recovered herself as to be fully aware of the necessity of withdrawing as quickly as possible. In the act of doing so, being in the dark, she stumbled against and overthrew something, said to be a chair or some ornamental piece of furniture. The crash was loud, and the tailor, who was on the lobby or landing on which the doors both of the lodge room and that where the Honorable Miss St. Leger was, opened, gave the alarm, burst open the door, and, with a light in one hand and a drawn sword in the other, appeared to the now terrified and fainting lady. He was soon joined by the members of the lodge present, and luckily, for it is asserted that but for the prompt appearance of her brother, Lord Doneraile, and other steady members, her life would have fallen a sacrifice to what was then estimated her crime. The first care of his lordship was to resuscitate the unfortunate lady without alarming the house, and endeavor to learn from her an explanation of what had occurred. Having done so, many of the members being furious at the transaction, she was placed under guard of the tailor and a member in the room where she was found. The members reassembled and deliberated as to what, under the circumstances, was to be done, and over 2 long hours she could hear the angry discussion, and her death deliberately proposed and seconded. At length the good sense of the majority succeeded in calming, in some measure, the angry and irritated feelings of the rest of the members, when, after much had been said and many things proposed, it was resolved to give her the option of submitting to the Masonic ordeal, to the extent she had witnessed, being fellow-craft. And if she refused, the brethren were again to consult, being waited on to decide. Miss St. Leger, exhausted and terrified by the storminess of the debate, which she could not avoid partially hearing, and yet, notwithstanding all, with a secret pleasure, gladly and unhesitatingly accepted the offer. She was accordingly initiated. Mrs., or as she was appropriately called, Sister Aldworth, lived many years after, but does not seem to ever have forgotten the lessons of charity and fraternal love which she received on her unexpected initiation into the esoteric doctrines of the order. Placed as she was, says the memoir we have quoted, by her marriage with Mr. Aldworth, at the head of a very large fortune. The poor in general, and the Masonic poor in particular, had good reason to record her numerous and bountiful acts of kindness. Nor were these accomplished with ostentation. Far from it. It has been remarked of her that her custom was to seek out bashful misery and retiring poverty, and with a well-directed liberality, soothe many a bleeding heart. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.